My name is Tanner Bouchard. I am the Roadside Vegetation Manager and the Weed Commissioner for Dickinson County. Yeah, so originally I'm actually from southwest Iowa, so not used to the flatlands, but I moved up here because I really enjoyed the lakes. I've always had a job up here since college. I had internships as a seasonal with Dickinson County in the past, then I had internships as a water patrol officer up here with the state. Ultimately, I just really enjoyed working with the people I worked with and where I worked at the county. And I came back almost a year and a half ago as the roadside program manager, and I love it up here. There's plenty to do. There's lots of hunting and fishing, which is more than enough to keep me happy. About our roadside program, sometimes you see people have roadside programs with secondary roads or the conservation board. Ours is actually through our conservation board. We work out of the same office. It's me, then we have a full-time technician, a part-timer. In the summer we have a seasonal. So it's usually a 4-person staff during the heat of the summer. And our yearly goals are usually 100% coverage of thistles throughout the county, which is close to 1,226 miles. And then we have 50% coverage on brush. And we always have goals to burn, but we are also in a very windy area of the state. So if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. We try to put as much fire on the ground as we can. 3% of the county right-of-ways to be seeded, usually in the fall of every year. Whether we get that, we usually do. There are years that in the future, we're gonna have to take break years just because it's so much mowing. But then a lot of mowing, and then a lot of work order systems. I said we don't work for secondary roads. However, we do have a very good relationship with them. We actually have the same work order system with them, so they can send me work orders that they receive from farmers, and I can go out there and cut them and mark them complete so that they know what not to do or what still needs to be done. So it's a very symbiotic relationship, and it goes very smoothly. So right now, the sort of things that are keeping me busy would be the start of our brush spraying season, a lot of maintenance mowing since we plant close to 100 acres of roadside each year. They all need maintenance mowed. We mow them for 3 years. So that's really entailing a lot of our time right now. We're also ramping up our fall spraying season, which would be our leafy spurge. And if we do have any fall control for thistles that we need to take care of, we're looking at that.
Let's go spray some weeds.
So right now for our woody stems or shrub management, what we do is if it's really big or poses a potential risk of right-of-way encroachment or visual risk to where people can't see past it, we go and we chainsaw it down. However, we do try to spray about 50% of our county for brush every year, and the stuff that we cannot get to, or if we don't have time that year, we might contract it out. But we also burn some of our right-of-ways, especially the ones with natives, to try to keep that young brush out of there. So the average day for me as a roadside manager up here is anything from mowing down maintenance mowings from previous years that we've planted, hydro mulching with a hydro mulcher, spraying thistles, spraying brush, chainsawing, and also working with local landowners on weed complaints and weed management strategies. You know, I never knew if I'd actually get into this job as much as I did because I'm kind of one of the guys that likes to see a change quick. You know, if I do something, I want to see the results just like that. However, it is very satisfying to put in 3 years of maintenance mowing and then see that seed come up and see that prairie actually work with the ecosystem and combat some of the weeds. It's very, very satisfying. The most challenging aspect of my job would probably be balancing weed commissioner part of my job and the roadside vegetation part of my job. I get a lot of weed commissioner complaints. We're in a very immaculate area where people treat their properties very well. And it's very noticeable if there is a weed issue, which is more than fine by me. But it does take up some of our busiest time, which is mowing. So every year it's anywhere from 25 probably to 35, sometimes 40 calls that I have to go on. I go investigate every one. So if you think about the month of June, that does take time out of almost every day. Yeah, so a vast majority of our native seed mixes come from the Tallgrass Prairie Center located in Cedar Falls. It's a very diverse mix, which you need in the roadway to combat most of the weeds that'll encroach. It also does really good farmers sometimes overspray in areas, and if there's a diverse enough mix of natives in there, then when they spray them, luckily something else will grow up later in the year. So it really helps us quite a bit.